Kenny, what's up, man?
How you doing, Gordon?
Thanks for coming today,
Not a problem.
sharing your story. We have Kenny here with us from our Fenton campus. Kenny, where are you from?
I grew up in Heartland, and now I live in Fenton.
Awesome.
So,
Moving on up.
yes.
What was your family upbringing like?
I was good. I live with both my parents. My parents are still together. I got one younger sister. We went to church on and off a little bit. Not
Not like
what you would
devote
say. Yes.
in the faith.
Not
and
devoted.
going
It was like a couple years we went on and off a little bit.
Christmas, Easter.
Maybe a little more than that for those 2 years, though.
Okay.
And but I was always told about Jesus and God,
Yeah.
but I didn't know exactly how it worked or what happened or what took place.
Let's crack into that. When did you decide to follow Jesus? How was the story? How did that go down to the best of your memory, and maybe like this things leading up to that, and then maybe a little bit after that?
Okay. Like I said, I've always believed in God. I just made God work for me. He was mine. I put him in that box and just expected him to do what I wanted him to do. And thinking back, he actually answered a lot of prayers with me not following him. But what really got me going or wanting to go to church and learn was I have 3 kids. But when I met Sarah, she had 2 boys. Mm-hmm. They were 4 and 2. And it was shortly after we got married, the oldest one started asking me some questions that I couldn't answer about Bible stuff. And I went to Sarah and I'm like, hey, we got to go to church because I don't like not being able to answer these questions. So that was what started me wanting to get back into church, was them asking me those questions.
Yeah. And when they're your kids asking you questions,
Yeah.
you want to at least give them some sort of legitimate, solid answer.
Yes, absolutely.
How did that lead into you exploring more of who God was and who Jesus was, and maybe some key people that came alongside you?
Yeah, so we started going to the Freedom Center, and I want to say that was in 07. Got involved pretty quickly, got around a couple guys that got quite close to, even because that's a pretty big church, but I had kind of a small group that I tried to hang out with and keep me in line and learn from, so that was good.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Had a small men's group that met Thursday mornings, I think at like 6 o'clock or 6:30. So a few guys showed up for that,
Yeah.
as early as it was. Kind of like the one here, which is Friday mornings at 6:30.
Yep. Yeah, little plug there.
Yeah.
What was your all-in moment where you and Sarah, or maybe, you were by yourself? When was that moment when you were like, I'm following Jesus and I'm not really concerned about the cost?
When I first started going there, when I first started going to church, I said I was 26, 27.
You're only 28 now, right?
Yeah, sure. It was funny because I think now that I'm on the worship team, but I didn't like the worship part. We'd get there and or the music part, I should say, because I know it's all worship, right? So I would go in later and later and later, and the music would play later and later. But I was like, all right, I'm going, give me the message. Tell me what to do, right? Tell me how to live, and then I'll go and try to do that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know any better yet. So there was a fill-in worship leader at the time, which is Pastor Adam, which is in Idaho right now, leading the church. But I remember he looked out in the audience, or the crowd, or whatever. It was a big church.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, if you're here today and you're hearing this, but you're not feeling it, or you're not really like knowing what's going on. He's like, just know that Jesus loves you. And if you're not reciprocating that, I want to encourage you to just keep telling him that you love him. Keep confessing with your mouth that you love him, and the heart will follow. Or, just keep speaking it, keep speaking it. And, one of my favorite worship songs is There Is Nothing Like. And I was listening to that in the truck one night coming home from golf. And it just all of a sudden hit me, tears, and I'm like, wow, okay, I think I get it now. So
cool. Did you tell anyone after that? I'm sure you did.
It took me a minute, but yeah. I made sure to tell Pastor Adam that before he left. That was a huge thing that he said for me. So,
and this is good for people all over the world to hear, that whether you are like Pastor Adam on stage and you are leading worship, playing the music in front of 1,000 people, or you're at a smaller church and you think no one's listening and they've always heard it before, but planting that seed of what Pastor Adam said, that word sticks with you.
Yeah.
And then it changes you. It may not be instantly, it could be, but it works in your heart over time, and you start walking with Jesus and repenting of your sin, renewing of your mind, moving forward. That is actually kind of an awesome story. You said it wasn't, but it is, and it's perfect because that's the importance of churches and fellowship and small groups, like you said. Do you have any God stories, maybe a hard life moment where God helped you, even if you think it's minute? Would you share that with us? Something that maybe God made possible that you or Sarah or your kids thought was impossible?
Yeah, I've a lot. There's been a lot of stuff, but before, say probably what got the mind working too, wanting to get back to learning and following Jesus was back in 2004. My grandpa got diagnosed with brain cancer, and they gave him 6 months, and he made it 10 years. He ended up beating it. He was cancer free for almost 10 years, that long before it come back and eventually got him. But I think that was a huge testimony for the family, everyone in our family. We seen that and was like, okay, let's get back. He definitely got our attention with that one.
And so it took kind of like a potential tragedy to not only have you realize the importance of Jesus in your life, but it impacted your whole family.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's cool how that stuff works out.
Yeah.
So now you're born again, you're walking with Jesus, you play on the Rhodes worship team, you're on the elder team, you're a dad, a husband, you work hard at your job, you have seniority there for quite a long time, you're a man of your word, you're a great friend to me and many others watching this. What is life like now? Just in 2022, like for you and your walk with the Lord, it's obviously grown and your faith has grown, but what is life like now for you, just overall, when you come against opposition? What do you do? What is a day like for you in the Lord?
Well, now I know I have people. I have a church that cares, and I know that I have other men around me that I can call and talk to if I'm struggling with anything. You, Pastor Chris, Matt, Sean, Nick, whatever, I can name them all. But there's a bunch of guys, and that's what I like. Going to, it's a family. Our church is like my family. I was thinking it's like that's kind of like who I want to hang out with, and it's who I do hang out with now. Other than work or with my wife or kids, it's if I'm doing anything, it's usually with somebody from here or at the church.
Yeah. So you can definitely say that you can see God in probably almost all areas of your life.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
And definitely try to keep him that way.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you have any words of wisdom for any young Christians?
I think as a new believer, you come in and you're fired up and you're really passionate. And I just would say that it's awesome to get out there and start telling people, the gospel, and then you're going to answer questions and stuff. But just know that it's not your place to change their mind. You just do your best with the questions, do your best with your answers, and let God change their heart. You pray for them afterwards and hope that you planted that seed and let Him move in them.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So now, for our older, seasoned Christians that may be watching, what kind of advice do you have for them? Because you're one of them now. You've been walking with the Lord for a while. Any advice for the older, OG, seasoned Christians out there?
I think for us, we have to look at the new believers, and we have to look at the fire in them, and sometimes we have to get back to that. We have to see that and make ourselves want to strive for that, because it's very easy to get discouraged. The more time you spend with just trying to talk to people and tell them about the Lord and tell them what Jesus did for you, you get, once in a while you get a lot of people that are really receptive to the message and what He did, and it's like, that's, it's good for you, works for you, but it's not for me yet. And it can wear you down. You tend to stick with your own people. You don't want to hang out with anybody else, or you don't want to talk to anybody else. You just want to talk to the people that are like-minded.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So for the seasoned ones, you would say, hey, maybe invest in a little bit of time with a younger believer, someone you may not know, except as well.
Don't be discouraged. Still get out there, and it's all it takes. Just one. It's all I hope for, right?
Yeah.
One at a time.
It's been a pleasure, Kenny.
On life.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Man, thank you for your time. And this is going to help a lot of people.
Cool.
Cool.